For the money, this is the biggest, cheapest tablet that you can get that's going to be as close to an actual comic book as possible. So today I'm going to talk about what I think is going to be the best bang for your buck comic book digital reader that you can get. So there are a lot of different tablets on the market, obviously, ranging from 20 bucks all the way up to thousands of dollars depending on the configuration that you get. And so I want to go over first a range of tablets. So right off the bat, you can see that I have the same comic book showing up on all of them. They're all running Comixology, and they're all logged into my Amazon account. On video, it may be hard to see, but this one has a slightly washed out picture from my perspective. All of them right now are at full brightness, and if you can't tell the difference of the picture quality from just the video, then I think that's actually a good sign that the quality is actually pretty good, because even I have a hard time telling the difference between these three over here. This one right here is the Apple iPad Air, I think, and then this one is the regular iPad. We have the Amazon Fire HD 10 and then the Amazon Fire HD 8. And so I think this one starts at around $400 or $500. This one is around $329, $150, and then I think this one is maybe around $80 to $100. And so I just wanted to show first that how these two compare to these two, because if you are going to be purchasing a comic book reader, you're going to be interested in the Apple iPads of the world, and as well as the other end of the spectrum. And so obviously this is going to make for a good reading experience between these two, because they do have much faster processors and everything. But this is still a very, very good reading experience, and I don't think that this one is even worse than these two based on the performance of the app itself. And so I'll just swipe over real quick so you can see that they all perform reasonably the same at just a swipe. But I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these two. So between these two tablets, my main issue is that the smaller Fire HD 8, there are two problems with it. The first, that the processor and the RAM, I believe it's fewer cores or maybe slower cores, but it's also less RAM. And while on paper that doesn't sound like it should make much of a difference, it does. In the actual usage of the device itself, it actually does feel slower than it does on the Fire HD 10, which does have a faster processor and more RAM. So I'll just show you that. It's running Comixology, it's got all my comic books loaded, and so when I scroll here, you see that it kind of like stutters a bit. But on here, it doesn't have that nearly as much. So you can kind of see it a little bit, but not nearly as much. And so, and that's just a quick and easy way that I can show you that there is a difference between the speed of the hardware. The other part that it comes into play though is during the actual reading of your comic. So let's say that you get to a image that takes place on both pages, and obviously on a tablet you only have the one screen. So I found that it's just a little bit snappier with the Fire 10 than it is with the Fire 8. And so let me show you an example of it. So with this image, I'm gonna just rotate and it pops over, rotate back, pops back over. Let me show you with the Fire HD 10. I'm gonna rotate, pop, rotate, pop. And so I don't know how well that comes off on camera, but to me it feels just that much snappier that it's a better reading experience. Because if you're focused in your reading and you want to just kind of mow through it, then you want every last bit will count. The other big issue with the Fire HD 8 over the 10 is that it's got lower pixel density, and so it's a PPI, pixels per inch. And I'll throw the specs up on the screen, but this has fewer pixels per inch than the Fire HD 10 does. And why does that matter? That matters because the more pixels that you have crammed into a space, that means that you'll have a clearer picture. And so you want as clear a picture as possible because you're trying to replicate the actual printed page digitally. So that means that it'll feel better on the eyes. You won't have to strain as much. And so between the fact that it's just got a larger display, but it also has the higher pixel density. So that just makes it a better tablet overall. Just so you know, I did try reading it at the beach, specifically because I was there anyway, but I wanted to see how well it would handle in bright sunlight. And it actually was still very readable in bright sunlight. I want to show you a comparison of the tablet versus an actual comic book. And so for the money, this is the biggest, cheapest tablet that you can get that's going to be as close to an actual comic book as possible. And so I don't think we're going to really get tablets that are actually at the comic book size, just because comic books like this can exist simply because they have for as long as they have, but also because it's actually made of paper, so it can be flimsy and kind of flop around. But a tablet of that same size, it would be that much heavier. It would require that much larger of a display, meaning it would cost that much more money. So I don't foresee a larger tablet coming at this price anytime soon. So speaking of price, I did say that it retails at $150. But here's the thing. With discounts and if you wait for sales, you can get this for as low as $55 or maybe even less. I got this one in particular for $50 because I was able to trade in a tablet to get 20% off, and then I stacked that with the Amazon Prime Day sale. And so that brought this down to, I think they gave me a $5 credit for a broken tablet, and then this brought it down to about $50. So the cool thing is that you can trade in pretty much any Amazon tablet in any condition and get a 20% off your next purchase. So you can look on Craigslist, look at Facebook Marketplace, look wherever you can. You might even have an old one. It may even be worth paying a few bucks for a used broken one to get that 20% off, because you trade it in and you don't have to actually trade it in to get the 20% off. It actually happens immediately. So if you go on the website and you go to trade in, then it'll just ask you what version it is, and then it'll just give you the 20% off your next purchase. And that all even happens before you send it in. So you have to send it in, of course, after the fact. But the next time a Prime Day sale comes or Black Friday sales come, you can jump on their lower price device, get a 20% off, and you can get a cheap $50 10-inch tablet for all your digital comic book reading. Now, I know that it's not going to be the best tablet for all of your needs, but I am not recommending that you get this tablet for all of your needs. My recommendation is to actually get this tablet as just a comic book tablet, because I feel like having that dedication means that you don't have to worry too much about finding the one right tablet that's going to do all of the stuff for you. You know, maybe you will need it to do all of your work stuff, school stuff, your hobby stuff and all this other stuff. And that can make things go kind of wild, because with this thing, it does have a micro SD slot, and so you can add at least up to a terabyte SD card and load all of your stuff and go. With an iPad, you have to buy at that level of storage in order to have it. You could do external USBs, but then that gets kind of messy, but having it all just in the tablet makes a much better experience overall. So as far as actually getting your digital comic books, I actually like purchasing from Amazon, because for quite a while they were doing a lot of sales, and so I was getting a lot of comic books for just a few bucks for an entire trade paperback. So that would be for like 5 or 6 issues in total or more. They've not done it in a while, but hopefully that'll come back, and I think that's a good way to buy it. Otherwise, Humble Bundle is a great way to get a lot of comic books for really cheap, and then you can just sideload those and read it on your preferred comic book app. You can't read that on Comixology, because Comixology is specific to its own stuff. If you have any recommendations for apps that I should check out for reading comics, or if you think that there are other better, cheaper tablets, then let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time.